Which part of the dev cycle is AI most helpful for?
Honestly, it's kind of like here. Most prominently, the way we use AI would be while coding. So we use Cursor, especially writing front end is much easier than it would have been without it. And so this allows for a lot of engineers on my team to be full stack engineers and write things end to end. You're looking for someone who is very good at problem solving. And that has always been the goal through any of the interview process. We do expect people to use AI to write code. Like we have certain interview questions where we just tell the candidate that you can use whatever you want. There are tools that non-engineering teams are using for answering their own questions. And there's no shortage of questions from customers. And so they're able to use AI to self-serve themselves and get a lot of answers. I think it reduces the volume of the questions tremendously.
Wow, what a way to speed up engineering velocity. It's clear that if an engineer is not getting bothered like a few times a day, they're just going to do a lot more. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AI Speedrun podcast. I'm here with Nikunj, the head of product engineering at HeyGen, a science fiction of a company. Welcome, Nikunj.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm super excited. So I have a couple of questions for you about how your engineering team is using AI, what's working, what's not. And how it's going to work is I'm going to reveal each question, and you're going to see a
Mm-hmm.
scale of 1 to 5, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
move the AI bubble over to where you see fit on the scale.
Okay,
So the first
let's do
question,
it. Yes.
rate from 1 to 5. AI has completely transformed our engineering team's velocity. 1 is like not at all, and 5 is it's night and day.
Mm, Probably somewhere between 3 and 4.
Do you think closer to 3 or closer to 4?
Probably closer to 4. Yeah.
Okay, tell me
I
more.
yeah. Um, I guess most prominently the way we use AI would be while coding. So we use Cursor, and I think one of the profound effects that it has had is that especially writing front end is much easier than it would have been without it. Surprisingly, like AI is really good at React and Tailwind and things like that. So even backend engineers are able to write front end code, and so this allows for a lot of engineers on my team to be full stack engineers and write things end to end. And so I think it has a couple of effects. One, they are able to write things fast, but also less coordination overhead, right? If they were to coordinate with like another front end engineer, that's just more coordination overhead. So I think because of that, I'm probably between a 3 and a 4, yeah, and more towards the 4. But it would be 5 if there were like if it had like if it could do certain things well. We can maybe go into that, but that would make it a 5. But it's not there yet. Yeah,
So in the old world, you had like a back end team and a front end team, and the
yeah,
two
yeah,
teams had to coordinate schedules because
yeah.
feature needed to go through both. And now you just
Hmm.
have engineers who are able to be full stack
Yeah,
because they know just enough to review what the AI generates, but not enough
right.
to be the one that does it themselves. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, in startups, I would imagine that a lot of the times, like any engineer does anything. But I think the willingness of front end engineers to do back end and back end engineers to do front end is even higher because of AI assisted coding.
What are the limits of that? Like, what are the things where it's like, I just can't reach there yet?
The limits of it is, I mean, it honestly it does make a lot of silly mistakes. So as I'm not sure, it's very hard to quantify why this is, but like for example, one of the things that I've been working on with my engineering team is like our studio, right? Which is like a pretty complicated application. So it has a lot of state that it's keeping. Stateful applications are hard. So yeah, it would get confused quite a bit sometimes. So there are some limitations like that, and then others are, I would say, a seasoned engineer really has the benefit of experience of like writing code in a certain way. So I think maybe if you really prompt it, and I know that many products are doing work around this where you can make like rules and things like that. You could probably get it to write code that benefits from your experience, but many times that's not happening, right? So like if a backend engineer, for example, is going to write a front end front end code, it's great. But then a lot of the times they wouldn't be writing it in the same like nice way that a front end engineer would because of the lack of experience, and vice versa. So yeah, I think that's probably from my view something that it would probably be, if as it is able to do it more, it would be moving towards a five.
Like out of 10 times, like how many out of 10 times does the front end engineer accept the PR that's been vibe coded?
Uh, I think, well, I mean, Hagen moves fast, so I think it's very high out of 10. So most of the times stuff gets approved. Um, but I mean, as we get bigger and bigger, I think we will probably try to like have better code quality. So I think that number would go down. But I think where we are, yeah, a lot of vibe coding is accepted for sure. Yeah,
It's so cool.
yeah,
Okay, question two, the big reveal. Which part of the dev cycle is AI most helpful for? So it sounds like cogen, but I wonder if there's
yeah.
anything else you can like pull over the AI bubble.
Honestly, it's kind of like here. So code gen 100%, you know. Testing also. I mean, I don't know actually about like other developers how they're using it right now for testing, but I've seen like one or two devs doing it in front of me, and then I also do it myself, where I will write some code, and then I want to write unit tests for it. And so I will just kind of prompt it to say I want, because I know the test cases that I want, and I know the where my code can fail. So I can reasonably like I can get a very good output in my opinion for a test, because I can say, okay, these are all the things that I want you to test, and this is how I want you to mock, and here are some examples of how previous tests have been written. So it's able to do it pretty good, and I think it saves a lot of time in my opinion. And there was a time at Hayden when we had like zero tests on the back end, and so to go from that to like a reasonable coverage, you can imagine how big of a lift that would be, and AI gets us a lot of the way there, because you're just people know the logic they want to test. It's just a matter of like, okay, how do I mock stuff? How do I control these side effects? Whatever, that's been encoding in some test somewhere in the repo, so they're able to pull a lot because of AI in that.
Oh,
And
sorry.
then code review, yeah, obviously. So on code review, we've been using Graphite. So Graphite, in the beginning, it didn't have. I think the AI features were not as good, but I've been seeing here and there on PRs, like as it comments, it is actually getting better. It is able to catch some bugs. That has been true, but it's still far from where it could be, because to our previous discussion, the it could probably like do more and say, hey, this is like a code smell. You probably want to, rethink how you're writing this code or something like that. So it's not, it's maybe operating at a very fundamental, like primitives, and say, okay, this thing kind of seems broken, or this is like missing, but it could do more over there. And I think that probably we would see it happen soon.
Our team is a big fan of graphite. How do
Yeah.
your engineers use it? Is it just sort of like it's sort of like almost like intelligence CI? It's like just the first line of review for them before the other engineers on the team look at it, or is it used very differently?
So, I mean, it does provide code reviews. However, I think the main reason why we use it is because of stacks. So we like to stack our PRs. So you want to move fast. You have a lot of things to work on. Like on any given day, like an engineer might have a couple of bugs that they're fixing, and then also product things that they're doing. So they have a lot of like things in play, and you can do like one mega PR and then just send it for review. Or you can do like a lot of these small stacks, and it's primarily that people are using it for.
That's so cool. On the
Yeah.
testing side, are you using any tools for that? Or is everyone just prompting to create unit tests on their own?
People are like, I mean, just regular unit test frameworks for whatever languages you're using, and then people are prompting to write the test.
Have you gotten the AI to update your old unit tests so you never have like tests that become outdated and break?
Like automatically?
Yeah, that's the dream.
No, not yet. Maybe there's like some CLI tool that we could write to make that happen.
That's I think the dream for our team. Question 3. AI has changed what engineering skills we're hiring for. 1 to 5.
Mm, maybe, maybe here. I don't think it has changed all that much. Maybe a 3, because okay, let me try to say it, and then I might change this. Okay,
Okay,
so I think fundamentally this is true for HeyGen and any other company. You're looking for someone who is very good at problem solving. And that has always been the goal through any of the interview process. And there are many angles that people approach it from. And so I think that has not changed. I don't think it was ever the case that we were looking for someone who's like exceptional at writing Python or whatever. That's very rare. Like in some cases, you may have very niche things that you need to hire people for, but like in general, you're just looking for people who have really good problem solving skills and then can code fast and like go from their problem solving to logic to the code pretty fast. And that is the sum of all interview process at every given company at any given point, right? So that has not changed. However, maybe there's something to be said about like our interview process itself has changed a little bit, because we do expect people to use AI to write code. Like we have certain interview questions where we just tell the candidate that you can use whatever you want. You can use like cursor or whatever to solve this problem, and that's fine. So I think the way we are conducting interviews has changed, and I think the people can do code generation as opposed to like writing everything, like handwriting everything. So that has changed, but I think what we were hiring for, which is people being able to solve problems and then debug something when something goes wrong, which happens quite a bit if you're doing code generation using AI. Many things will go wrong during the interview process. So it is kind of hard to debug. So both of those things are true. So maybe more, I would say like a 2 than a 3.
When you've started letting people use Cursor or any of the CodeGen products during interviews, have you had to change what the pair programming like task is to make it a little bit more complicated, or you've
Yeah.
kept it exactly the same?
Yeah, I guess the question was designed with the thought in mind that people are going to use CodeGen. So first, it would be pretty difficult to do it in 1 hour without the help of AI anyway. So it is a little bit. I mean, it's not difficult, but the amount of code that you would have to write is quite a lot. And then also, there's a lot to be said in the interview question about like the thinking process and how they think about the user experience, for example, or how they handle certain errors or performance, these kind of things. Um, and you're pair programming with them, so it's like it gives you very good insight in what it would be like to work with them. So that's how the questions have been designed with those goals in mind.
That's so cool. Basically, you're like, we've always been looking for problem solvers. We've always been looking for engineers who are real product engineers who are thinking about everything. So that hasn't changed. But what is even better now is we get to see how someone reviews code, thinks about it, and debugs, because whatever the AI generates isn't going to be exactly right. And so watching them review is like this whole new level of insight we didn't really get before.
Yeah, totally. And then they can achieve much more during an interview. Also, like for example, if you say, hey, like write this bunch of like contract that saves bunch of stuff in the database, so they don't need to generate like write all of this like stuff that they would have to write before. Like, oh wait, how do I write this in like MySQL or whatever? It is because like an engineer can figure that out later. And on the job, no one is expected to know everything. You can Google, you can use whatever, and you can kind of know how something works. So it allows us to get us see the signal behind the signal. Like it's okay, cool, you can figure things out, but then also how do you think about writing the application?
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, one final question. What are your favorite AI tools and uses on your team? You mentioned Graphite, you mentioned Cursor. Is there anything
Mhm.
else?
I think those would be it. I mean, people use ChatGPT also from time to time for um, yeah, to like understand certain systems, or especially like okay, things like okay, how does transcoding MP3 work or something like that, where you just want to know certain things. Uh, those are those are I think it. I don't think we have other AI use cases that I can think of for the engineering team. There are tools that non-engineering teams are using for answering their own questions because engineers are busy. So there's no shortage of questions from customers. So these are all enterprise customers and non-enterprise customers, which we have a lot of. So they're just like asking support questions all day, every day. And so they're able to use AI to self-serve themselves and get a lot of answers. I think it reduces the volume of the questions tremendously.
Wow.
If we don't have that first line of defense, it would be like untenable, in my opinion.
Wow, what a way
Yeah.
to speed up engineering velocity. It's like not a tool for engineers. You don't typically think about it in like the eng velocity stack, but like it's clear that if an engineer is not getting bothered like a few times a day, they're just going to do a lot more.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Nikunj, thank you so much. This was so fun.
Yeah,
Where can
for
people
sure.
follow you and HeyGen and try it out online?
Where can people try HeyGen? So first of all, go to HeyGen and make a video. I think you're going to love this experience. So that's a plug on what HeyGen is. You know how you have to shoot a video, you have to go to like whatever, a studio, whatever, do 1,000 repeats. Maybe you sneeze, maybe something goes wrong. You don't have to do any of that. You just get a good footage into HeyGen, and then you can make your videos with HeyGen. So and then you can just make videos like at scale using your own avatars or public avatars. So that's what HeyGen is. You can try it out on HeyGen.com, and yeah, we're hiring all across the board. So yeah, that's I think HeyGen careers hit us up and or hit me up on LinkedIn if you're interested in one of the job openings.
Awesome. Nikunj, thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.